And welcome back. It's time for this week's Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, State Senator Kyle Loveless of Oklahoma City introduced a new version of his civil asset forfeiture bill this week. You were at the press conference where he unveiled that. What are your thoughts on it?
He's revised a proposal that he had initially put out last spring that drew a lot of opposition from law enforcement. He's tried to incorporate as many of the objections law enforcement had as he can. The bottom line is that in most cases, actual conviction would be required before the assets belong to the government. In other words, not mere accusation of wrongdoing. A lot of this money that comes to law enforcement agencies is seized in the course of drug cases. This would put everything below, I believe, $50,000 with some caveats and exceptions. Any seizures below that, the person would have to be actually convicted. It's also adding a new citizen oversight board that will manage the use of the funds and make sure they're channeled actually into law enforcement. There's been rare but occasional abuses of the system. I will say that the lineup of supporters was extremely impressive. Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs, Trent England, Brady Henderson from the ACLU, Gene Perry, who's a researcher for the Oklahoma Policy Institute. It was impressive, and they also had Stephen Mills, who's the chief of police in the town of Apache, who was actually the victim of an unjust seizure, who only was able years ago to get his property back after the local paper started covering it, you know. So he's on the side of the little guy, I guess you could say, in this one, and I think most law enforcement wants to be, but it's been problematic, its actual use.
We'll continue to follow this. Also this week, the Oklahoma Academy unveiled recommendations for policymakers drawn from a series of town hall meetings across the state. Pat, you were at the press conference for that as well. What did you learn about it? Well,
there's 11 agencies in Oklahoma state government that spend 91% of all the money that's spent. So the Oklahoma Academy took a close look at those agencies in particular, and then they did citizen listening groups, regionally organized, a pretty good group of people, big group of people, sat and talked about these issues and then distilled down and decided, you know, they were pressed to prioritize, and they did decide to prioritize education, health care, and public safety as their top objectives. Now, buried in the nuances of the report are some recommendations for tax increases or for such dramatic shifts in the tax system that they would result in tax increases. Howard Barnett, OSU Tulsa, and a number of other folks were involved in the study, and it was an interesting event to cover and report on.
I don't know, you're not going to have much time on this, but school choice, the movement is gaining strength. A couple of town hall meetings in Oklahoma City this week. What can you say about those?
Well, our friend Scott Mitchell moderated Senator Clark Jolly and Representative Jason Nelson for sessions at Mount St. Mary's and Bishop McGuinness, talking about possibility of creating more options for parents to use their tax dollars for educational purposes through education savings accounts, which we've talked about before. That's all we have time for.
All right. So. Well, you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. From Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.